Hey there, Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe for Sunday, December 18th. How are you all doing? We have just 2 weeks left in the year, and then, 2 weeks from today is the beginning of 2023. So we're kind of heading toward something new, right? That feeling of starting a new year, but also this week we have the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. We've also got a couple days following that. Actually, early in the morning on Friday is a Capricorn New Moon. So just after the sun goes into Capricorn, which is the definition of the winter solstice, or really more accurately, the winter solstice is the definition of the beginning of Capricorn, because that's how the tropical zodiac works. So when we have that shortest day of the year, that is defined as the beginning of Capricorn. And when you think about where we're coming from in terms of our ancestors who didn't have electric lights and who were intimately related with the sky and its goings on, and paid attention to what the sky was doing and the planets and the stars, and noticed correlations between what was going on Earth. And so, of course, the stars were very important to our ancestors, and they can be for us today if we choose to tune in with them. So the beginning of Capricorn is that time of year when the days are shortest. The nights are longest. There's a feeling of darkness, of short daylight hours, and also cold weather. And that feeling of, nothing's growing. We're kind of we're getting down to the bare bones, and bones is a really good analogy for Capricorn, because Capricorn relates to structures and foundations, and it relates to the bony structure of our body. So really, we're getting down to basics, and it really brings us down to how do you operate when things are the most restrictive. And so when you have less, when your when your food supplies are dwindling, when you're dealing with less daylight and less ability to do anything about your circumstances, you have to kind of make do with what you have and what you've put in for the winter and things like that. So energetically, we're looking at the sign of Capricorn and how that speaks to that energy of having to make do. And so there's a sense of heaviness, of seriousness with Capricorn, the feeling of responsibility, the feeling of needing to, buckle down and get to work and do what needs to be done. And that's because we are needing to make do with less in that time of the year. Of course, we live in a global world now, and so the Southern Hemisphere, people who dwell in the Southern Hemisphere may also use this Northern astrology, Western astrology system from the Northern Hemisphere. So we are using this this archetypal system that was very meaningful to our ancestors, and it's something that we can relate to. So anyway, we've got the winter solstice happening this week. We're just a few days away currently from the shortest day of the year. So we have that feeling, and we are also completing the Sagittarius Moon Cycle that began in November. And these energies build on each other. So the Sagittarius sun and the new moon in Sagittarius that begins the new moon or the moon cycle that we are currently in. Sagittarius is about storytelling and making meaning. And so when you think about how that comes, as we're heading into these darker days, and it's a time of reflection and, telling the stories of the adventures of the past, summer season when there was a lot more activity going on. So that energy of Sagittarius is about how we make meaning, our beliefs, how we tell stories to continue those beliefs, right? And to have our set of beliefs that we're operating under reinforced and maybe change over time as those stories get told and retold. So we're completing this week that Sagittarius moon cycle with the new moon in Capricorn on Friday, December 23rd. So just before Christmas. And we as we complete that Sagittarius moon cycle, we're completing this work of storytelling, making meaning, asking ourselves what we think and what we believe, and how we want to organize our thinking, our paradigms, where we place our faith and trust. So what is it we're believing in? What is it we're hoping for? What is it we want for the future? And how, I've been talking a lot about how we can align with that through our choices and hitching our wagon to the star that we really want to be aligned with, and then making choices in our daily lives that can be in alignment with that bigger truth that we really want to be heading toward, shooting the archer arrow toward the target of thinking consciously about what that target is, what our goals are, where it is we're heading, what it is we want, and why is that important. So we're finishing up that work. We had a couple days ago the third quarter moon that, as we are entering this final week of the Sagittarius moon cycle, and then later this week, of course, we will have the winter solstice and the moon going into Sagittarius to remind us, of that Sagittarian energy and bring completion to what it is we've been working on as we then head into Capricorn. So the Capricorn energy is starting to build now. We have now Mercury and Venus in Capricorn on Wednesday. The sun goes into Capricorn, so that brings, now we've got Pluto already in Capricorn. Pluto doesn't move very often, or well, it just moves very, very slowly, so it doesn't change signs very often. And so Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. So Mercury and Venus, and the sun, which move much faster, are joining Pluto now in Capricorn, bringing 4 planets to Capricorn. And then with the moon joining the sun for the new moon on Friday, that will mean 5 planets in Capricorn. So that brings us back to, what it is we are doing as we come to this place of, really coming to terms with our limitations, with what does it look like to operate in, circumstances that are maybe not ideal, having to make do, having to work with what we've got, put in some hard work and some effort to get ourselves through. And, traditionally that would mean getting yourself through the winter, the leaner times, right? The times of less activity, the times when the weather meant we couldn't go outside and things weren't growing, we couldn't hunt, things like that. So inside with that Sagittarius sitting around the fire telling stories, which also is helping us to shape the future that will be coming in the next year. So with Capricorn, we move from that energy of storytelling into like, okay, what does it look like to create the foundations of the story we want to step into? So it's a good time for planning. It's a good time for focusing on foundations, getting organized, getting things in order, thinking really, what are the foundations of how we want to create the structures that are going to hold us going forward. And so that's going to be true for us in our personal lives, whatever's coming up for you in terms of, what needs your attention, what is it you want to focus on next year, giving a little thought and attention to how do you want to make a plan or get organized or create some foundations. Think about putting down the roots for what will eventually be something that will flourish. So what does that look like for you? How can you give some attention to some of the foundational aspects of things that are important to you based on the stories you've been connecting with during the Sagittarius moon cycle? So with that Sagittarius energy that the moon is waning currently from that moon cycle that's in Sagittarius. Today, the moon is in Libra. And so we have that continued energy of integration, which is what we do when the moon is waning. And so we're integrating from the Gemini full moon, but we're processing what is the story, how do we want to tell that story, what is the meaning of events and what has been transpiring and what have we been learning, especially with the Gemini full moon bringing us new pieces of information, new data, new things that we can work with in terms of our understanding. And so now we're integrating that new information, the data, the things that we now have to work with, things that have been illuminated or revealed, and how do we want to work with that and integrate it and implement the new information and put it into the bigger picture of meaning. And again, think about what is the meaning of what's been going on, but also what is the meaning of the future? What is the meaning that we want to be connecting with and that we want to align ourselves with? So then as we continue to build this Capricorn energy and get to Friday's new moon in Capricorn and really having an opportunity to focus on deep roots and what's important to us. So with the holiday season, now, it's a good thing to ask yourself, like, why did our ancestors, or why is across different traditions and faiths, why do we celebrate in the winter? What we call it the winter holidays, because it's not just Christmas, it's all the winter holidays that are celebrated and practiced by all different people of different places and times and origins and so on. So those winter holidays are there because we are, as humans, are creating meaning, right? We're looking for meaning. We're looking to affirm that even though things are darkest right now, that the light will come back, and we'll have a new opportunity for new growth and new experiences and adventures in the coming year, and new chances to do things that we've always imagined. So we have winter holidays, and those holidays are celebration. And when you think about the traditions of gift giving, what is that? It's a ritual of abundance. It's a ritual of sharing, of opening a shiny package with a bow, to remind us that good things are coming and that good things are here, even in moments when, the nights are long. And not all faiths practice gift giving, but that's one way that we celebrate in times of darkness, right? Celebrating and reminding ourselves that there is abundance, that the earth is a bounty bounteous place, and that the gifts of the earth and the physical world are there for us to experience and enjoy. Feasting is the same idea. It's that idea of experiencing and enjoying the gifts of the earth through the flavors and the full bellies and all that. Being with family, of course, and it's not always a happy time for everyone. Sometimes there are some hard memories that come up around the holidays. So all of it is, reminding us that as we focus on who we are, on those places of deeper sense of foundations, of knowing who we are, of reminding ourselves of what is important, and then asking ourselves, okay, what do I need to do to get organized, or to make a plan, or to lay the foundations of how I want to continue my journey toward that wonderful star that I am hitching myself to. So that's what we're working on this week. Holidays can also be a very busy time for a lot of people. So to remember that this time is also a sacred time that has meaning, and there is meaning. If nothing else, there is meaning to the changing seasons. That is a universal experience. And that meaning of having the days be shortest. Now, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, the days are longest, right? It's kind of the opposite. And you get to embrace that paradox and that irony of having the winter holidays from the Western Northern traditions are in a time when it really is when the days are long and it's summer. So anyway, it's this vibe, right? It's this vibe of we're doing the work, we're imagining the future, and thinking about planning and foundations. So with the increasing Capricorn energy, coming back to basics, down to the bones, getting down to our essence, really the truth, the deep places of who we are and how that has meaning for us, and thinking about the future. And we're not quite there to New Year's yet, but as we get closer to New Year's, there's also this tradition of New Year's resolutions, right? And affirming what you're going to commit to for the coming year. And as I've been saying for years and years, that there's something that is really much more powerful than resolutions, and that is intentions. So when we set intentions, we can be choosing to consciously work with the energy that is present, the energy as it unfolds, and to recognize that when we set an intention, so for example, if you say, my intention is to get more exercise in the coming year, then you're open to learning what's going to best support you to manifest that in a happy and joyful and easeful way into your life, rather than making a resolution, I'm going to get more exercise and I'm going to commit to that, which, how often does that do we really stick with that, right? That it's kind of a setup for failure. And I'm not saying we all fail, because often, maybe that is something that works for you, but I am saying that I have noticed that intentions can be much more powerful, because they give us this openness to say, I'm willing to learn who I need to become in order to be a person who has regular exercise in my life, because I want to be more energized, feel more joy, more pleasure at being alive, be more able-bodied, right? More able to do things, have strength, have energy, and be able to do the things that are fun and give me that feeling of movement in the world. So So when we set an intention and it's coming from that place of joy and happiness and positivity, when we set an intention, then we're actually saying, okay, you know, I really want to have this experience of exercise. It feels good. It feels important to me. So how can I make that happen, right? What are the obstacles? And as you go through the year and the moon cycles, you will notice the obstacles. They will show up, right? Like, okay, I didn't have time that week, or things got busy or hectic and I didn't do what I said I was going to do. There's an obstacle that we can identify. So then you can just say, okay, I still really want this feeling of joy and exercise and movement and feeling energized and strong. So how am I going to do that when I have a busy life? And just opening to, you know, creative solutions. Maybe there's a way I can do it that doesn't take as much time, or maybe there's something I can let go of to make room for this, or maybe it's, you know, something where I need to finish this project and then I'm going to shift my focus to exercise. It's going to be whatever works for you. But the point is that you're open to seeing what that is, instead of going down the path where you say, here's my resolution. Gosh darn it, I didn't stick to it. That means I'm not capable of sticking to it. Therefore, I'm a failure and I will never achieve this. And you just spiral into powerlessness. So to counter that, think about maybe set intentions instead of a resolution, because an intention is flexible, it's adaptable, it lets you work with what is present and find creative solutions and take baby steps and build a foundation of something that's going to be sustainable over time. And exercise is just one example. There's all kinds of examples of things you might have resolutions around. It's the same idea. So as we head into this Capricorn new moon, it's kind of a special time, right? It's the ending and the beginning of a year with the energy of the solstice. It's of course, we're around the time of the new calendar year, and it's a new moon, and it's an opportunity to set intentions, to plant seeds. So in this case, we might be thinking about planting seeds and setting intentions for the year ahead, whereas typically we might do it for just the coming month. Although it's always a good idea to set intentions for the big picture of what feels important to you, and then see how this current moon cycle is going to help you align with that, you know. And then as we go through the year, each moon cycle begins with a new and different new moon, particular energies that new moon and that full moon cycle brings with us. And so I am going to be with you throughout the year, reminding you of what each moon cycle brings and how to work with that. And I just really invite you to stick with this, because there's so much that we can see in different light when we work with the moon cycles and the astrological energies that are present. I've also been talking about some of the bigger picture astrology of what to look forward to in 2023. So check out some of those videos if you've missed them. There was one on Pluto, what Pluto is doing in 2023, going into Aquarius and bringing some of the energy of the future and new solutions to old problems and breaking free of old molds. There was another video on Saturn, and Saturn bringing the feeling of consequences, of limitations, but also of rolling up our sleeves, getting to work, how we do things, what are the structures and systems and institutions, and how Saturn shifts from Aquarius into Pisces, what's going to look different about that. Saturn stays in a sign for 2.5 years about. So we've had that energy since the end of 2020, and heading into 2022, what's going to feel different. So I got a video for you on Saturn going into Pisces in 2023, on Pluto going into Aquarius briefly in 2023, and then it goes back into Capricorn. But watch the video, you'll learn all about that. And then the way that we're setting intentions with this Capricorn new moon and 5 planets in Capricorn, with the Capricorn moon later this week, is going to bring us really an opportunity to plant seeds, set intentions, get clear about what's important to us. That we've been doing that work through the Sagittarius Moon Cycle to tell the story, make meaning, ask ourselves what kind of meaning and faith we want to have in the future, and what that looks like, how we create hope, rather than waiting for hope to come our way, right? We need to create that feeling of hope and that feeling of being an active and a living being here on earth, that we are creative beings who can make a difference in our families, our communities, our world, and of course for ourselves. And that's where it all begins. So that's why we're talking about self-care here. When we have that spirit of self-care and honoring of our needs, and how we can take care of ourselves, then everything can grow from there, because we are stronger, we are more resilient, we are healthier, we are and in all dimensions, mind, body, spirit, and emotion, we are honoring the fact that we have to fill up our own cup and take care of ourselves, do that regeneration for ourselves, so that we can be contributing positively as things unfold in the world around us. And there's been a lot unfolding. Some of it brings hope. Some of it brings a little bit of nail biting about the future. So it's just we're continuing this work. We do have, with the energy of Pluto going into Aquarius, some new opportunities, I think, for shift and change. And so how we engage with that is going to be really important. Are you engaging with shift and change by resisting it, by being afraid of what's going to happen? Or are you engaging with it by embracing the idea of change and saying, yeah, change is great. Here's what I want. Here are the things that I want things to change to, and how I can be involved in and contribute to being part of that change. So lots to think about. And as we head into this important moment this week with the winter solstice and the Capricorn new moon, just really think about the essence of what's important to you, getting to that core essence, foundational truth of what is important to you and why, and how you can support yourself in allowing that to unfold going forward. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be here with more daily astro vibes with the astrology of unshakable self-care as we go through the week. And as always, I have that little daily boost of self-care for you, and letting you know what's going on with the moon and the planets, and how it can support us when we're aware of it. Thank you again for being here. You can learn more about me at astrologyheals.com. I've got mini readings. I've got ways to work with me more in depth if you're interested in seeing where, for example, the Capricorn new moon falls in your chart. You can learn a little bit more about that and what is true for you. Makes a great holiday gift. And thanks again. I'll see you next time. Astrologyheals.com. And be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying these videos. I really appreciate your support. I'll see you next time.